Every generation of Beyblade evolves. Every generation with each new season changes and grows as Beys develop new, unmatched skills, new Beys entering into the battle scenes, and new gimmicks are invented and introduced. Every Beyblade generation evolves, and Beyblade X is no exception to that. Much like every generation prior to the official introduction of the newest Bey designs or newest gimmicks featured, Beyblade has always introduced what is to come mid to late season of every season in the series. And for Beyblade X, that was the UX line. But what is the UX line, and how does it differ so much from the standard BX line? Are they actually more powerful than the standard BX Beys, as has been traditional for every generation of Beyblade? In today's video, we're going to be diving into the differences between the Beyblade X Evolutionary lines of the standard BX Beys and the unique line, the UX Beys. How such a small, subtle change in design can completely change the entire outcome of a battle and the Bey's performance itself. And by the end of this video, we will be able to determine whether or not the UX line is truly stronger than the BX, or vice versa. This is the Beyblade X, the rewritten rules of the Beyblade Evolution. Every generation drops subtle hints of what's to come in the next season early on, with either one exclusive release with a seemingly overpowered gimmick, or with a size change and a weight change that makes the newest member of the generation seem completely overpowered and completely unstoppable. One of the best examples of this is through the Beyblade Burst series and all subcategories of each season. Beyblade Burst is the most diverse of all the generations, featuring the most changes brought into a single generation, with every new season almost completely differing from the last. Starting with the Beyblade Burst and the Beyblade Burst Evolution, we were able to see the growth of the Beys of each of the seasons. Evolution bringing in layer gimmicks and more. Their size and their weight slightly increased from before. It ended with Beys such as Sprig and Requiem equaling in size and weight almost to that of the next season, of that being of the Chozetsu. As the Chozetsu era began to come to a close, we got a dive into what it may be like for the next series, the GT series, through the Chozy Beys, as they closely resemble the size and the height of the GT Beys, and so on and so forth. This trend continued all the way through Beyblade Burst. However, Beyblade X, though, continued on with this as they entered into Season 2, the approach came a little bit differently. Beyblade X introduced the UX Beys mid-Season 1, and they played a pivotal part in Team Persona's victories. But more than that, the introduction of the UX Beys showed us something different. Compared to the previous generations, once an upgrade or an evolution has been made, Takara Tomy would push and encourage consumers to purchase the newest evolution with demonstrations of absolute power over the older Beys. However, Beyblade X did not do that with the UX line. Even in the anime, Team Persona with both Kazami Bird and Common X, their final all-out battle ended with them using their BX Beys over their UX Beys. Furthermore, with the upgrade of the UX line, the creators showed us that they kept hold of their older BX Beys, showing us that they are still relevant in the game. Seeing this made a lot of people start to wonder, what exactly is the difference between the BX and the UX? Is the UX stronger than the BX, as it ought to be in terms of traditional Beyblade series growth, or is the BX stronger? Well, the answer is simple: neither. Neither the BX or the UX is stronger than the other. In terms of business and marketing, the UX is no stronger than the BX, and the BX is no stronger than the UX. If that were the case, we would begin to weed out the BX releases, almost effectively eliminating, rather than continuing to release newer, more badass BX Beys. Granted, as we start to move deeper into Season 2, we are seeing more and more UX releases, and the unique line is steadily growing. Many people would argue that this point is irrelevant, and it may be so. However, let the arena sell the score as to whether which of these lines is stronger. Now, Drawn Sword, the very first Beyblade X Bey, a BX release, is still fully capable of challenging and pushing nearly every single UX Bey to the limit, if not being able to defeat them all. Night Shield, the fourth release, a BX release, can still undoubtedly tank both Drum Buster and Samurai Saber's attacks, as well as take them out. But that's not to say that the UX line is terrible. The UX line dominates the current Beyblade X meta and is still fully capable of taking on all BX Beys and ranking up win after win. In terms of performance and power, both lines of the Beyblade X Beys are relatively equal, relying solely on the bladers themselves to achieve victory. So what makes them different from each other? The difference between the BX and the UX Beys is all on a singular, simplistic design change. BX Beys have solid metal hooks that attach to the prongs of the launcher. Meanwhile, the UX Beys have plastic hooks. Now, this subtle change in design drastically changes a Bey's performance in the arena. BX Beys with the metal prongs shift all gravitational force, better known as centrifugal force, inward, centering it all and making them more sturdy. The center of gravity allows for the Beys to be able to take on more hits with ease and continue to spin relatively longer after such impacts between the other Beys. Now, as for the UX Beys, the unique line of Beyblade X, the simple switch from metal to plastic on the hooks shifts that entire center of gravity outward, changing that centrifugal force of the Bey and distributing it outward to the far edges of the blades. This intensely increases the Bey's stamina and potential power, as all kinetic energy is focused on the main contact points of the blade. However, there is a slight drawback to this, as it does make for the Beys to be easier to knock off balance with a single hit. Beys such as Drum Buster has insane attack capabilities, but aside from the natural imbalance of the blade, Drum Buster can easily have all spin taken completely out of it with a single strike. However, it is without question that the UX line of Beys can easily outspin nearly all BX Beys, even those specializing in a stamina field. Even Beys such as the much hated Shinobi Shadow, with its unbalanced stock combo, can outspin most BX Beys with relative ease. Both lines of Beyblade X, for the first time in all 25 years of the franchise, share equal amounts of power, which personally for me I find to be the greatest thing and the most promising aspect that is making Beyblade X the best generation in the entire Beyblade franchise. No other generation has been able to achieve this. Now, despite the UX line still growing and growing more steadily now, we're still able to find Beys such as Drawn Sword, Hell's Scythe, Shark Edge, Phoenix Wing, some of the earliest releases in the Beyblade X system, still relevant to the current meta and tournament play. Unlike past generations, there is no need, aside from the addiction thereof, in getting the newest releases of X. You can still hold on to your Drawn Sword and still have a chance of securing your first tournament win. So in the end, is the UX line better than the BX line, or vice versa? We can now safely say that both lines of Beyblade X share the equal amounts of power, each specializing more specifically to a certain aspect of the Beyblade mechanics. But in the end, it all falls on the bladers themselves and how they use their Bey. However, change is once more coming to Beyblade X, with leaked information regarding the next line of Beyblade X products known as the CX line. Now, whether or not this release of the CX will make this video invalid, I personally believe Takara Tomy will continue this trend, making the CX releases relatively equal to both the UX and the BX lines. But that is everything for this video. I do appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting my channel. I do hope this helps everyone new and old in learning more about the differences in both lines of the Beyblade X system. But comment down below, which line do you prefer? Which of these two lines strikes your fancy more and has the better Beys? In the meantime, stay tuned. I do have more Beyblade X content coming out soon, including a special episode of Bey Talk, which will be diving deeper into my channel specifically and the struggles and hardships of simply being a Beytuber. Things may have slowed down a little for Less Than Beys, but LBS is still here, and I am stronger than I have ever been before. But in the meantime, have yourselves a great night, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.